When I met my husband 10 years ago, he found me in this place, and he actually started teaching me some philosophies from experiences that he had as a child that taught him how to think outside of the job from a very young age. And I was so blessed because I had never heard any of this information before. And I asked him, I said, where did you get all of this great information from? I've never heard this in any of my classes. And he said that he was, at a very young age, he'll explain his story a little bit, he was introduced to certain books, certain audios, and certain mentors that completely changed his way of thinking. And that changed the trajectory for his life. And what we found was that we both had the same passion of we need to let other people know this information. Nobody knows this stuff. You guys need to know this stuff. And how come they don't teach this in school? So without further ado, this gentleman has changed thousands of lives. He speaks all over the country. You all are in for a treat today. I want to introduce to some and reintroduce to others none other than my husband, Bard Bell.
She's just wonderful. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's so funny, her introduction. For those who knew me growing up, they're very shocked to see me on stage talking to people. I was not the kid that you would have said, oh, one day he's going to go up and speak to audiences. I was actually very shy until the 10th grade. I started talking to people in the middle of 10th grade. And I'll never forget, just a funny quick story, my parents, several years ago, they came out and saw me speak for the first time, and they just sat in the audience with their mouths open the entire time. And I tell people that was the first known case of identity theft in my family because they sure thought somebody had stolen my identity. Like, who is that on stage there? But this audio program by a gentleman named Napoleon Hill. Anybody familiar with Napoleon Hill? He wrote a book that's very famous called Think and Grow Rich. And it's a book I think is very timely where our economy is right now because it became really popular around the Great Depression. And for those that aren't familiar with the story, the wealthiest man in the world, Andrew Carnegie, at the time, wanted to find a young person that could take 20 years of their lives and study the most successful people, 500 of the most successful people at that time, and find out how is it that they were able to start from scratch and rise to great success in life. And he wanted them to take 20 years and research them, study them, interview them, and then write about it so that the everyday person can have access to those principles. And so I'm 14 years old at this point, and I come home and my dad is listening to this audio program, and I hear him talking about purpose and how the most successful people in the world, a lot of times they've identified their purpose, they've identified their life work, and as my wife just said a moment ago, they build their career around that. And that was a lot different than what I've been taught. Can you all relate to that? What are we taught in school? Are we taught find your life work and build a career around it? Or are we taught, go to school, get a good education, and get the job that pays the best, right? What's going to provide for you the best. And a lot of people have never been introduced to the idea that what if it's possible that I can do what I love, do what I'm passionate about, and still do well financially? If that was possible for everybody here, how many would like to engage in that journey and pursue that journey? All of us. And so I was being introduced to that idea. That's what was being suggested to me as a teenager. So I had no reason not to believe that. So I just started following in that direction. So I got introduced to the concept of entrepreneurship. And, some people think entrepreneurship is something that a few people are gifted with. Anybody ever felt that way? Like some people got it, you either have it or you don't. Some people think that it's something that's learnable. And I'm one of those people because I didn't feel like I had any special gift for entrepreneurship. But when I was listening to the audio program, and that led to other programs, I started to realize that there wasn't much difference between me and everybody else out there that was living their dream, except they had a few different ideas. They were taught differently. They had surrounded themselves with people who had value to add to them outside of what we get in traditional education. So one of the things that I learned is that successful people, they act on their ideas. How many ever had a multi-million-dollar idea? Or an idea you felt like it was a multi-million-dollar idea? How many ever had a multi-million-dollar idea that someone else made your million on? Everybody else? So one of the first things that I learned is that what separates those who seem like they have it made, they have it going, from a lot of others is they actually act on those ideas. And they have faith, and they act on them, and they pursue them, and they study, and they practice, and they put the work in.